Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Aaronica Cole, and I'm very excited to be joining you all today. Yeah, we had to open up some windows up in here. Let's go ahead and get the sun going. I'm doing my live a little bit later than intended, but alas, we are here. So, I have just had the opportunity to hop off the phone with the nurse from the hospital, and I did my pre-op appointment this week for my reconstruction surgery, and everything is a go. But just like last time, I won't be able to raise my arms post-surgery, so I figured now is the perfect time to show how to hack my Primrose sweatshirt into being a zip up. So I've already done all the cutting out simply because I forgot to charge like my DJI last night. So we had to do that. And while I was charging, your girl needed something to do. So let's talk about the fabric. I am going to be doing a couple of hacks with this pattern today. The first being that we're turning it into a zip up. I didn't have enough fabric to make it into a hoodie. So it's going to be kind of like, we're going to be giving a little bit of like bomber jacket feel, but hoodie style, right? So for the pockets, because I did run out of fabric, we're going to be doing a black French terry. And again, we're going to just do the basic neck. You guys, I had to do a lot of, we were basically pulling a Tim gun and making it work, with doing the best that we could with what it is that we had. So I'm using a custom fabric. Let me show you all the fabric that I have chosen for this. This is it. Now, I don't typically love custom fabrics, not saying that I don't love custom fabrics. If you're a custom fabric maker and it aligns with my aesthetic and you want me to sew for you, go ahead and hit your girl up. But I will say that a lot of times the aesthetic doesn't match my own, but your girl loves leopard print. So that obviously matches very well. So I did run out of fabric. So we're having to finagle these sleeves a little bit because I like a dramatic sleeve and that's what it's giving. So the first hack is, of course, like I said, we're going to be adding in a zipper down the middle. The other hack that we are going to do is we are going to put in a drawstring at the waistband, and let me go ahead. Yeah, we're going to just put in a drawstring at the waistband. And then what we are going to do is we're going to add elastic casing to the cuff so that it'll give it kind of like more of a flowy sleeve. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I've already done the cutting of the pieces, but let's lay them out so that you all can kind of see what it is that we are working with. So with that, let me go ahead and point you all down. So we've got our back piece, which is the piece that I held up and showed you. So our back piece here. We have our front side pieces, and I cut out the top length because I'm going to be essentially hemming it to kind of create the elastic casing. This is the front center piece. And also my kids are home with me, so be prepared for some interruptions. Now, in order to make my sleeves happen for me, because again, we ran out of fabric, I am doing some color blocking, but like also not color blocking, because I'm not actually going to use a different fabric. So this is the top part of the sleeve. This is the bottom part of the sleeve that I just cut out of the same material. We're doing a neckband. Our pocket, which of course is an invisible pocket. Then we've got our zipper. I have this yellow zipper, which I thought would be perfect because it pretty much matches. Now, in order to make sure that we, good afternoon, Sandra. Now, in order to make sure that we have our zipper go in seamlessly without issue, I do have my interfacing cut out here. I'm going to be applying this interfacing to either side of that center, but we'll go over that when it's time. I have not actually done this hack yet. This is just something that has been in my head, and I was like, oh, I could totally do this. So super easy. So with that, let's go ahead. I'm going to construct the front part as though it was the normal construction. So I'm going to put it together all at once, and then I'm going to cut it straight down the middle to apply our interfacing and our zipper. So let's take our fabric pieces over here. And now, you know, y'all know that my little camera, she does not have a battery life that is going to last for forever. So I'm not saying that this is like chopped edition. I think I need to close my window because the sun might be a little too bright for what we have going on here. But, you know, we've got to do this on a time crunch. The machines that I'm using today, I will be using my Bernina L890 as well as my Bernina B590 to help me create those casings. Let me go ahead, close this door. I'm like, did that help? I do feel like that helped enough. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm at my serger first. And I keep looking back because I want to see, like, I have it up on my computer, which you can see. Yeah, this still feels a little bit bright for me. Hey, Aisha. Okay, that definitely feels better. I'm like, now I feel like y'all can see me. Okay, so let's get ready to sew. I won't be showing as much of the sewing this time, only because we already sewed this pattern together. I will be showing more about the hack that we are doing, just in case you guys are like, why isn't she showing me all of the things? So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna prepare my sleeves. Again, we're not actually color blocking. We're doing like color blocking ish, okay? But ultimately, I just have to. Ooh, that was definitely my foot hitting the hit the damn thing. So ultimately, what I'm trying to do here is color block with the same color, okay? I did find some music that was like royalty free, so I could play in the background. And these sleeves are super big. I sized up because I wanted this to be like real oversized. So when I come out from surgery, I'm going to have an ace bandage wrap and some other things on. So I just wanted to give myself enough space so that like when I'm done with surgery, you know what I mean? Like I'm not feeling like Marshmallow Man. Okay, and so just so that you can see, so I just essentially, I just added to it. So I just made it a little bit longer. We're going to do the same thing on this sleeve piece as well, so that our sleeves are now ready to go. I've had this fabric for like, y'all, an obscene amount of time. And this is like a thicker French terry, which I'm very happy about because, so when I went in for surgery the first time, of course, it was summertime. I went in and I was wearing the Daughter Judy generous shirt that I had made, and I'd like, it was like denim and like green. It was wonderful. I got so many compliments on it. fantastic. I loved it for me. But y'all, it's cold now. So we got to make sure that we are doing items that are for cold weather. Okay. Okay. So now the other hack that I am doing, or what I'm doing a little bit differently, the pockets are originally supposed to line up with the bottom of the fabric. We are not doing that. The reason why we're not doing that is because we have to fold up to create a casing. And here's the thing, I don't want to have like 8 layers of fabric that I'm trying to install this zipper with. So again, I'm going to go ahead and move my pocket piece up probably about 2 inches. I'm going to put it in, I'm going to like, you know, do it first just to kind of see what I feel like, you know, feels the best, if that makes sense. And then we'll go from there. But let me just make sure I mark which side is the top on this one too. That's my pocket piece. So I'm just going to, I'm measuring up about this much so that when I create my casing, which will be here, then I won't have too much overlap. Because when I put my zipper in, y'all, I'm not trying to be fighting with the zipper. I've done it before. It's not fun. I do have my backup battery charged just in case we gotta, you know, plug us in. And honestly, I might end up having to trim off some of the pocket, which is fine too, because the pocket measurement was based upon it being lower. So I'm just gonna flatten this out just to make sure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take off a little bit, which is fine. So in order for, because this is a 1-to-1 ratio, so I've got to take off that amount, which is all good, y'all. The only thing I do want to make sure of is that my pocket pieces are lining up, and they do. Perfect. You guys, I'm so excited about this. Last night I was dreaming about how it was going to turn out. Because again, this has really just been an idea in my head. Because in truth, I actually really do feel like most shirts and like sweatshirts and things, all of that can be turned into hoodies, y'all. Like seriously. So I'm going to take this out because I'm going to use this piece as my guide for doing these outside pieces. And then I'm also going to be using this as my guide for how far up. So because of this sleeve action, we're problem solving on the go. Our pocket might just be smaller. It might just be shorter. That just might be what we have to do. So let's just try it out and see. Again, I haven't done this before, so we're just figuring it out as we go. Okay, so here's what I was essentially talking about. So we're moving the pocket piece up this amount, and as you guys can see, if I move it up this, it goes into kind of like the armsy area, which there really isn't an armsy because obviously we just don't have that because it's a dolman style top. So we're gonna pop this in here and just kind of figure it out as we go. Because honestly, what else is there to do? And I think we're just gonna stop like once we get to this, like, you know, this arm side area. So like I stopped here. I feel like I could have gone up a little further, but this will be fine. So now my wrist will only be able to go in there, and I think that that is going to be fine. So now I am just going to line up this excess piece here, and I'm just going to trim it down because we don't need it. But also, if I don't trim it down before, then I won't know exactly how much I need to trim off. So I'm gonna just do that now. Got it. And so now we've got both of those hanging off there. Okay. So now let's go ahead, pop this in on the other side. So one of my favorite things to do when I first started sewing, did I do that right? I think I did it wrong. I think I did do it wrong because my arm size should not be affected at all. I did do it wrong. No worries. We're just gonna seam rip it out because we don't have enough space to not seam rip it. So this is fine. But one of my favorite things to do when I first came back to sewing was pattern hacking. Literally, that's how I got into pattern design, is hacking patterns and just really truly making them my own. I knew that this felt wrong, but again, this is my first time. We're navigating it together. Let me just move this camera down some more so that y'all can at least see a little bit more. I put this wide lens camera camera lens on here because I never use it, and I was like, I don't know if I need it, but we're gonna see how it works right now. Okay, so seam ripping this part. So now that I have monetized my channel, one of the things that I want to do, and my husband was telling me I should do, is I should begin to release patterns only to my subscribers. And I do that on Substack. And I really like it. Love that for me. But what I think next year I'm going to begin to do is release specific tutorials on how to do pattern hacks like this with my patterns. Because as of this moment, I have, let's see, I've got 6 Nomi patterns, and then I've got 3 indie patterns, and I'm still working on, last year, or rather this year, I had started to draft a pleated skirt. And honestly, you could probably do this pleated skirt with both knit and woven, but it's going to be designed for knit specifically. You could probably hack it to be woven, because there's meant to have a lot of ease. All right, let's do this. Let's do it again, the right way this time. Okay, so this is the top. So then this, correct. Okay. So because of the nature and the ease of the skirt and how I want it to fit, you could probably hack it to be a, I'm so excited about this sweatshirt, but you could probably hack it, or you'll be able to hack it to be a woven. There we go. And just relining it up from the bottom. I'm lining it up and making sure it matches the front center part, because honestly, that is the most important to me, that it lines up there. And we got that lined up well. But yeah, I really think that that pleated skirt is going to be super fun. And then I'm also drafting like a little top that'll go with it. It's going to be so cute. So that will go into testing in January. But what I was thinking about doing for like subscribers is essentially like, especially if there's like pattern pieces that you'll need, or so that you don't have to kind of do the guesswork behind it. So what I was thinking about doing was essentially for my subscribers, not only releasing that, those patterns, like, or rather those two specific tutorials for those hacks, but also possibly the pattern pieces that would be modified. And I think that that would be, I feel like that's a really great benefit for subscribers. Praise God we did this the right way this time, because y'all. Okay, here we go. So we're in there. We're in there like swimwear. So here we are. We've got this done. So now we're going to go ahead. I am going to go ahead and trim this out by where like these are connecting. So just doing slight snips. I did this in the last video as well. And then because we are going to have to attach it below the pocket, I'm going to do some little snips there as well. Just again, so that it can give us more of a seamless like connection there. Now I'm going to do it on this one as well. And I'm not even snipping the full seam allowance, which is 1/4 of an inch. I'm really doing kind of closer to 1/8 of an inch. Just so that I can easily get my my foot in there. Okay, so let's go ahead. Flip this pocket in. Perfect. Oh, so excited. Now we're going to put our right sides together. Like, yes, this is the right side. Together forever. Shout out to the people who watch Bob's Burgers. I do wish that I had a black separating zipper. I might go back and see if I can find one. I have this yellow, which matches, but I feel like because I did black on the inside pocket, I feel like a black zipper would be best. Okay. And now we've got to just do this bottom area as well. And so attaching it at this bottom area is part of the hack step, because we normally would not have to do this. Okay, so we've got one side in here. And I'm going to check the chat in just 1 second. Oh, this looks so good. Yeah, I'm almost tempted to be like, do I even really need to make this a pullover? I mean, I do, right? Because otherwise your girl will be struggling. um, to get back in it after surgery. My husband always makes fun of me because he's like, you're like the #1 person. He was like, if you were to receive a grade for your customer service, it would be an A. And I'm like, yes. He's like, but they're the ones who provide customer service to you. Yes. But I'm like, I always want to be the star people. Only because, like, I'm sure that people talk to mean people all day long. So, like, if your girl could just, you know, offer a little niceness to people. Like, the woman who did my check-in today, her birthday is the same day as Christmas. So, you know, I gave her a little birthday wish, you know? I don't know. I am a firm believer that if you could just be kinder, then why not? And of course my husband agrees with me, but he's like, you're literally the person who every customer service agent wants to talk to. The other day at Starbucks, I listened to one of the people who work there vent about, you know, of course, their experience. Oh, look at this. So here we have, we're in there. So now, because I am, because I'm not attaching the waistband here, we are going to be sewing shut both the top and bottom pieces to create a pocket that works. So that's what we're gonna do now. Just gonna put in a real quick stitch. And so I'm sewing with black fabric or even like multicolored fabric, but the inside of the fabric is white, which is why I'm going for a like white beige feel on the inside as well. So excited about this hoodie. One of my girlfriends came over and like essentially shopped my stash of fabric. Not the stash of fabric that I actually planned on destashing, but like my actual fabric that I'm working my way through, y'all. And when she had come over, I saw her eyeing this fabric. So I was like, let me make sure that my ass is over here sewing with it, because I eye this fabric every time I go in there too. And I'm like, there's no reason why I should not have already been sewing with this fabric. So here we are. And yesterday I had a fantastic meeting. So excited. Had a meeting for those of you who are local to Atlanta or not. But I had a meeting with Top Stitch ATL. And they are local to Atlanta to teach classes. Very, very excited about that. Now, my first time like really teaching a sewing class, I taught a room of 35 people, essentially. It was a fantastic first experience because the people in there were just had amazing energy. It was great. But listen, it broke your girl in. It broke your girl in well. Okay, so you guys see the back. Here we are in the front. So we are going to, what is this? Automatic cutter. Okay, so we got to clean out that machine. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and top stitch the pocket pieces in place. Again, this is not the normal step. The reason why we're doing this is because as you can see, the pocket is like slinky, right? It's not necessarily staying in place. And And actually, I don't think I'm going to sew it. I think that we're going to go ahead and use some Stitch Whip to just iron this so that it stays in place. And then we're going to go ahead and cut down straight down the center. So let's go ahead on over to my cutting table so that we can take care of these next steps. I'm a huge supporter of using stitch whippetry when you need to, because listen, take all the shortcuts you can, okay? I'm going to like stitch witch it in place first, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut down the center. So I'm going to grab my iron. We're going to get plugged up. Grab my ironing mats. Are these my, yeah, those are. You guys, I cannot even express how excited I am about this. Okay. So I'm going to be using this Oliso M3 Pro Project Iron. This is their newest iron. And I love using the mini irons for smaller projects like this, where I don't necessarily need a whole lot of iron power. Like, we don't need like all the pressing power in the room. Okay. Now, again, as a reminder, we're navigating this together, friends. So, my iron is heating up. I already have my stitch witchery up here on the table, and this is 3/4 of an inch. And so just so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and just measure it out just like this, because I want one to be on either side. Before I actually put it down though, I am going to press this in place. Here we go. Because again, ultimately, we kind of need the seam area to just like be put, you know what I'm saying? To really give us some good pocket. Some good pocket. And it's going to make it that much more easy when it comes time for us to do our casing at the bottom. The really good thing about using Stitch Witch is it tears so easily. Like, you don't have to really worry about whether or not, you know, it's going to tear easily. I'm just making sure I'm leaving enough space. And what I will say is make sure that Stitch Witch is like in place, y'all. Okay. And so now it's not moving. She's in there like swimwear. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same up top. There's actually a pattern group, a pattern maker, whose name is Stitch Witch. I love their patterns as well. She does a lot of, like, she is a woven pattern maker. I'm just gonna go ahead and press that in place. I feel like that'll make it easier for me to tuck everything else in. Now this step is a step that you can take regardless of whether or not you're doing this hack, because the looseness can be bothersome depending upon, like, if you are like really bothered by like loose fabric on you, or if it just doesn't feel good. So this is a little secret weapon that you can use regardless of whether you're doing this hack or not. And so whereas before, when we picked it up, it had some dangle action, as you can see here, it's not moving now. So I love that. And of course, I'm just gonna flip this over just to kind of tuck in, press out anything else that needs it. Okay, so now we're going to cut straight down the middle. I'm gonna move my pressing mat and iron, honestly, to the floor because we're not done with it right now. Okay. So now we're going to cut straight down that middle, straight down the center. Flip this right side out just so that I'm gonna put it together. Make sure my half pieces line up. Now, if you are like someone who loves everything to be as exact, I love that for you. I really do subscribe to good enough. So this for me is good enough. Now, if you want to, again, make it so that yours is as precise as you can be, go ahead and take out your pens to go ahead and mark your center points. Break out your acrylic rulers and then go ahead and use, I highly recommend using a rotary cutter. But now look at this. We've got our two pieces that is now ready for us to, we're going to put our interfacing piece on each of these front areas because we're going to be zipping up there. So let's go ahead, and we want to make sure that that area that we put the zipper in is stable. All right, so whoops. Okay, so here we go. And I don't know if this is going to fit exactly because I just kind of like used what I had left over from a previous project. And in truth, I don't need for it to go all the way down because, again, we're going to be folding that bottom piece up. So it's fine because we're going to be folding this up like that. Trim this down. There we go. And so when we put in our zipper, we just want to make sure that this area is properly reinforced and so that it doesn't end up growing or stretching on us as we do our zipper piece. And if you have a lot of interfacing and you're like, how am I supposed to tell which side gets ironed down? It's always going to be like that glossy side. Because of the adhesive or like the glue. And so whenever you're doing, especially your knit fabrics, if you're adding in zippers and that sort of thing, you always want to use an interfacing that will in essence prevent it from stretching north to south. And that's really, really important because if you want your garments to actually match up your seams and stuff like that, big deal. All right, let's go back and finish constructing our garment. We're going to put in our zipper last. That is going to be our final bit. So now we're going to go ahead and attach our front pieces to our back. at the shoulder seams. Yeah, I got like some lo-fi or something playing right now. Like feeling real real calm, real relaxed. Ooh, that would have been wrong. That would have been wrong. Okay. I learned so much when I was drafting this pattern, namely about making sure that when you're color blocking or you have pieces that are going to be color blocked, how to adjust for that seam allowance. Because things were not pretty in the beginning. Then your girl learned. And now everything matches up perfectly. Okay, so we've got that shoulder seam in. So a lot of people have asked like how I'm feeling going into this surgery, and I'll likely do like another update after this reconstruction is done to talk more about it. And it's funny because like I'll talk about it like in person and in real life, and people will be like, hush hush about it. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like I've talked about this. And I think that it's important that we remove this, you know, the taboo nature about especially women's health, but also men's health too, right? Because like we could be avoiding death and we could be avoiding a lot of things if we just had more open conversations surrounding health stuff, you know? Okay, so we've got actually I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to take this selvage area off as I'm sewing. So I'm going to flip it around so that my selvage area is face up so that I could kind of better see what I'm doing. Yes, I could have simply done this when I was actually cutting my fabric, but I decided not to, as I was really trying to make sure that I had enough fabric to be able to kind of do what I want to do. Okay, we're going to go ahead, pop in a pleat. Now this pleat is not going to be as dramatic as our last pleat, and that's fine. I'm like, don't get me wrong, your girl loves a dramatic sleeve, but you know, it's okay. Okay, I'm gonna pop in another pleat in here soon. This feels like a good area. And yes, I just do it by feel. Again, if you were the type of sewist who was like, no, I need exact measurements, I have it marked on the pattern pieces. I'm definitely more of a this feels right sewist, you know? Definitely more of a this feels good. Ah, it's so beautiful already. So now we're going to go ahead and close up our side seams. So putting in our zipper is going to be the last step. We're going to go over and make our casings because we need 3 casings, one for the bottom band. And then we need one for each of these other bands. Now I am going to put a grommet in here, or rather 2 grommets. So I am going to add a little bit more interfacing at the area that I want the grommet to go in. Right, we've got one side done, so let's go ahead and get this other side done. We're going to be doing the exact same thing. I am going to flip this around so that I can make sure that I see the selvage area that I am going to be cutting off. So you know, I always pre-wash my fabrics when I get them in, but I've since changed my detergent. We typically use non-toxic detergents. And to pre-wash, like, we have a house filter. And if you're like, Aaronica, girl, what's the house filter? I do actually have an entire YouTube video about our home filter where I talk about the importance of, we're gonna go ahead and put in our pleat here. The importance of pre-washing your fabric because of all of the things that can be on the fabric. I'll edit this live to link to that video as well. But it's so important to pre-wash your fabrics, but we were using a different detergent and now I'm like, oh, memories of that detergent, you know? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and throw in our second pleat here. So one of the things that I feel about patterns is that patterns and pattern pieces and tutorials, y'all, they are just merely suggestions. If you listen to the very first podcast that Julie and I did on the AUDASEWTEA, and there is a playlist on YouTube where you can check that out. Julian said something that I feel like is really important, you know, as designers and as people who, you know, use patterns and stuff like that. And sometimes we're like, oh, is this okay? And one of the things that he said was like, I am the trendsetter. And I think that's such an important perspective to have. Like, as you are navigating these design streets and coming up with things that feel good to you. Like, one of the beautiful things about sewing is that you get to decide, like, what fabric goes with what. Like, one of my girlfriends, yeah, I like to give away fabric that I'm not going to use because somebody else should really use it. But she had also gotten, she'd gotten this custom fabric. And most custom fabrics are typically going to be printed out on a cotton lycra fabric base. And she was like, I really want to use this fabric and I want it to be, like, she was like, I really want it to have the structure of like a woven fabric, right? Now, typically, the average person would be like, no, not possible, blah, 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 blah. But as creatives and creators, another one of our girlfriends and I were like, well, you could add some interfacing, you know, there's some possibilities. And she took that cotton lycra and turned it into a more structured knit by adding interfacing. And I was like, girl, you were a genius. Okay. So we are essentially assembled. I am going to go ahead and pop this neckband in. So now this neckband, in order for it to kind of function properly, we're going to fold it down And I'm gonna do a little angle stitch because I'm like, you know what? We can do bomber jacket feel. So I'm going to cinch off at this top area. So like, let me flip this out so you can see what I mean. And so it's going to be kind of angled in versus straight down. And I feel like that is going to be better. So I'm going to just do that on the other side as well. Again, patterns are merely suggestions. You know what I'm saying? And I think that more people need to just understand that. Like, my favorite thing as a designer is to like see what other people have come up with for my designs. You know what I'm saying? Like, where has your imagination taken you with this? All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and pop this in here. So I am gonna go ahead and find my center of the band. Now, if you don't like to struggle with French terry and you're like, oh, I hate the way that it behaves, go ahead and serge that together. You know, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'm just going to leave it as is. But I'm finding the center of the band and I'm marking it with my clip. I'm gonna find the center of this back as well. Mark that with a clip, just so that I can go ahead and clip this together and I can make sure that I've got enough, like that I'm easing it in correctly. So I'm gonna just go ahead and move that clip here. Clip this into place, rather. And of course, the goal is to just make sure that as I'm putting this neckband in, that I know exactly how much and where I need to stretch. That is the goal of that. Now, I will say that I'm very happy that this French terry has so much stretch in it. There we go. Because we're stretching, okay? Now, I do feel like I probably could have added like a little bit more at this neckband, given that it's kind of like a jacket feel, but I didn't want to, so I didn't. But mentioning that just as a possibility. And you do want to make sure that you're evenly stretching, because you don't want to have your garment like kind of stretched out of shape because you didn't evenly stretch your neckband. Believe me, that's happened plenty of times. It's okay, but I personally just don't love that look. And so now we've got our neckband on, and it's definitely giving us bomber jacket feels. So as you guys can see here, it's got that diagonal line there. And if I want to, I can go ahead and add in a top stitch. I just might add a top stitch in. We'll see how I feel. I am going to trim down my tails because I'm going to be going over this with my stitch whenever I put in my zipper. Okay, now you could have waited to put in your like actual neckband area till after your zipper was kind of in, so that you could fully enclose that zipper top, but for me it's not that deep. So all right, I am gonna do a stitch straight up, just so that I can make sure that my pocket is fully enclosed and fully together. So like this pocket area like is is bubbling up a little bit. And I'm so happy that I have interfaced kind of everything else. I'm going to just go ahead and move this so that it stretches out evenly. Just to kind of prevent the bubbling. I'm also going to go ahead and make my foot a little lighter on here so that it's not squishing it down as much. And every time I lift up my foot, I'm just kind of situating the fabric underneath it. Once I get off of the pocket, it's very, very, very easy. We are aligned. Everything is fine. And again, gonna trim this down nice and close. Okay, so we're looking like we're running out of battery. Let me go ahead and grab my charger and plug it in. I have like this 6-foot long charger, and then I have this, which is a solar powered charger. So I'm going to just go ahead, plug us in so that we don't go dead. There we go. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Let's say we're charging. Marvelous. I love this for us. All right, so now let's go ahead and do this other side. And I'm gonna face my fabric down, and I wanna see if that affects it at all. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I do still have my I do think that that is working out way better. And it might even just be because I can't see it messing up. Okay, and also again trimming this down nice and close because I don't necessarily need it to be far. Okay, so we are at a point where we're going to, let's trim this down as well on the other side. So we're gonna pause and take a quick try on, because my favorite thing about sewing is the immediate gratification that we get. So let's just take a very brief, there we go. Oh gosh, that's like really on me. Okay, so here we have, and so this is where we are right now. And so the next step, of course, is to put in, we're going to do our zipper after we make our casing. And so the casing is going to be created right here. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to go ahead and mark where I want to put my grommet at. And I do want it to be probably at about this area right here. And the purpose of the grommet, let's just do a real quick and dirty measure, about 1 inch over. The purpose of the grommet, of course, is because we're going to put in a, there we go. We're going to put in a little we go, grommet. We're gonna do our grommet now. We're gonna put in a drawstring so that we can drawstring it up. All right, so let's head on over here. I'm gonna grab my grommets, like puncher thing. Oh, y'all, this thing is heavy. This is it. And listen, I just have to put all of my things just like inside of here because your girl just could not want. This came with this handle. You guys, I could not get this handle on here. I'm like, who can do this? Like, make it make sense. Okay. So I don't necessarily need a huge grommet. So we're going to use like this size. Got some of the tops. Some of the bases. Dang, I took out a lot. Only needed 2. Okay. Plus we're already set up for this one. I have the little thing that you can use to hole punch it, but I don't know where, yeah, I don't know where it is. We're not using that today. Let me see what else we have over here. Ah, I found it. No worries. So yes, this is for leather. Yes, we're using it. Okay, so I have some leftover, interfacing. Hey, Camille. Will! Okay, so again, we have it marked where we're going to put it. I think I'm actually going to move it over so that it's over probably closer to about 1.5 inches over. And so because I only need a little bit of interfacing, I'm just going to cut out these little tiny squares. And my daughter actually has like a sweatshirt that essentially is the same thing. I'm looking for my adhesive side. And I was just like, girl, let me have this. And she was like, no, I bought it with my own money. So I was like, that's fine. I'm going to just make it. It'll be fine. And so let me flip this over. Ooh. And so, got to make sure our iron is back on. Because listen, this thing will definitely turn off. Pressing it into place. And I'll flip the screen down so that you guys can see how I use my little grommet maker. And shout out to Lisa from Black Women Stitch for enabling me to go ahead and make the genius decision to go ahead and get this grommet press thing. So now that we've got that in place, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this like little hole punch thing. This is actually for leather. It's a leather hole punch thing. And I'm sure that it has like a more official name than hole punch thing. We're doing the best we can with what it is we got though. Okay, so. And what I'm trying to be mindful of is, of course, my seam allowance. So I'm going up closer. Let's see. Perfect. I made my tiny little hole. And then let me actually point you all down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so here we have our grommet. I put the grommet thing, I think it goes this way. Yeah. Yes. And then we're going to See, our interfacing did not fully adhere. I'm gonna just go ahead and repress that into place because I do want my interfacing to stay. Because y'all, listen, if your interface is not interfacing, your grommet will fall out, okay? That's not even the energy that we're trying to have. Okay, so we've got that. Now I'm gonna just put, oops, not that top piece. Pop this top piece in. Golly. I'm like, I promise I've never struggled with this before, but of course, because I'm on live, it's behaving this way. And then boom, we have our grommet. It's not the cleanest looking grommet. It's fine. Because now I can just pull out the rest. There we go. Now she's looking cleaned up. We've got our clean grommet. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. I am going to just put these together just so that I can, you know, make this about as close as I possibly can. Okay. Now let's go ahead, punch our hole. Okay. I'm gonna press this into place a little bit more again. I just want to make sure that like we in there. Yes, there we go. Okay. Gonna go ahead and all right, we're in there. So now our grommets are in there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a little memory hem stitch. So that way, as I am creating my casing, you know, it's a little bit easier. I used to think that memory hems were BS, and I was like, who even needs it, right? It's me. Especially working with this French terry. But I also feel like, okay, so never mind. I'm not doing that. And here's why. Because did you guys see how that didn't make not one single difference as I was over here pressing? Okay. Whew. Y'all, we might have to open up this door a little bit. Girl is hot. Okay. There we go. Hello, friends. So Brenda is telling me that we do need to clean out her automatic cutter. So let's just do that very quickly. Do it now. Touch the confirm. Did that. Lower the feed dog. I love Bernina because listen, my Bernina is going to give me all the instructions that I need in order to be successful at life, okay? Did I move my... I didn't move my brush. It doesn't look like they put my stuff back, so we're gonna very quickly clean her out. Oh gosh. Listen, Brenda had a lot of stuff inside. So my machine has an automatic thread cutter, and sometimes what will happen is there's a buildup of sometimes what will happen is that there's like a buildup of thread, like dust, you know, and so you just kind of have to move things around, clean it out. I really wish that I had my vacuum cleaner. Okay. Removed the lint. We're good to go. All right. And now I'm like, okay, we got our thread. Dang, where did my other tweezers go? There we go. Okay, so we're cleaned up. We're ready to go. Gonna go ahead, pop my thing back in. All right. The very cool thing is that it will automatically tell me when it needs to be cleaned, and I like that. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and create our casings. Then it will be time to, I am gonna go ahead and just make a couple of slight mendings here as well. It's funny, people will ask me, they'll be like, oh, well, why do you need a, one of the questions that I get often is like, why do you need a serger if you've got a sewing machine? They do completely different things, y'all. And sometimes you need your serger, your sewing machine, to go ahead and clean up some stuff that your serger has done. Okay, everything looks good in here. A little dusty. You would think that I didn't just clean my machines, y'all. But I have been doing, you know, of course, my holiday sewing. Da-dun-da-dun. It's the holiday season. Da-dun-da-dun. So I had a discussion with my oldest daughter, because one of the things that my husband and I, not saying that we don't want to give them gifts, but one of the things that we wanted to kind of get out of the practice of was making our holidays so gift dependent, you know? I don't know what's happening here. And so I was talking to my oldest about this, and she was like, yeah, that actually sounds like a really good idea. To which I was very happy about, because she'd be the main one who's like, oh, I want this, and I want that, and I want this. And so, you know, to have her be like, oh yeah, that sounds good, you know, like we would like to do experience gifts. So like vacations, or, you know, traveling during the holiday season and stuff like that, instead of making it so heavily dependent upon the physical presence, you know? So I was very excited that she was like, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. I mean, it was going to get done regardless, but still. You know, it's always nice to get that buy-in there, you know? I feel like this stitch is not giving me what I need for it to give. And I'm like, let me fix this stitch before we get up in here. Okay, that's better. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and put in our casing. And so this is what it's going to look like right here. And so I'm just lining it up. I'll flip the camera down so that you guys can see in just 1 second. This is just going to be a basic straight stitch, okay, friends? Basic Betty straight stitch. I'm like, this is why I need it all. You see me over here using my fingertip? Like, what if my nails weren't done? Then I would have an all, of course. Just check this side to make sure things are looking fantastic. So even though the fabric is like a darker brown, it's almost like a heathered brown. So this white thread going in here is looking very, dare I say, natural. Like it's giving I fit in with this motif, you know? I feel like even though I have my phone, like even though I've got this thing charging, it's not legit charging. So we're gonna try to finish this like ASAP. If this fabric wasn't so expensive, yeah, it was super expensive. It was like $25 a yard. And I really want to be like, couldn't be me, but it was me. It was me. I bought it, y'all. But this like fabric is almost perfect for like a towel. Like, and now that I've said this, now that I'm like, oh yes, this fabric was like $25 a yard. I'm like, yo, why am I wearing this to surgery? I digress though, it's fine. Okay, so this casing is almost done, and as a reminder, we do still have to do the casing for our sleeves as well. Okay. Perfect. I mean, this is like... But you know what's funny is that if I didn't make this hoodie, I don't even know what I would have made with this fabric, you know? Because again, I've had it for years, y'all. I've had it for years. Okay, like clip this into place. I feel like I should do like a hacking challenge. Okay, so that casing is done. Let's go ahead and just do our sleeve casing as well. Our sleeve casing is going to be like, dare I say, like way smaller, because we just do not need for it to be as robust. And also, I'm just trying to keep the length of the sleeve in there. And we'll probably be using like 1/2 inch elastic around these sleeves. I am going to increase my stitch length to about 3.5 just to do this one. I should have done it with the last one, but it's fine. Now my fabric is rolling here. I would have pressed it out, but again, y'all, like, this fabric is not fabric that's going to hold on to that memory hem or that press. And if I didn't need to make it as casing, I would have used my Stitch Witch on this as well. Okay. Now let's do this other casing here. Okay, here we go. All right, now it's time to go ahead. We're going to pop in our zipper before we do our elastic casings because we've got 27% battery left. So let's make it count. So again, we're using this here zipper tape right here. It is a separating zipper. What I'm going to do is I want to put some markings on here. The first marking being the top of my my pocket piece. And so the reason why I am marking this is so that when I zipper it up, it lines up. Okay. The next one that I want to, the next part that I want to mark, of course, is going to be where it ends, because this zipper tape is a little bit longer than what I need for it to be. I just want to make sure that I am marking just kind of like where it needs to end. So I'm going to go ahead and unzipper this. And I am just going to go ahead and pull that zipper all the way up. Change out my foot to be a zipper foot. And let's see, we're at 4D. And the first time that you put your zipper in is always going to be your quote unquote basting stitch. I don't ever like pull it out though. So just sharing that little bit of info there. Let's see, and I do want so I'm putting my needle position at -2, again, because I don't necessarily need for it to be too close. And this stitch, of course, is for you to essentially get things lined up. I pulled my Instagram babes And my girlfriend Cynthia said that one of her goals for 2024 is to master zippers. When I tell you that zippers used to be so scary for me, and here's what I will say, that like a zipper, I'm going to go ahead and pull my zipper pull down. If you haven't had a lot of experience with zippers, they can really be intimidating. But they aren't, you know? I'm going to go ahead and I want my entire zipper to be pulled down because I am going to go ahead. Oh, look at this. Look at how that looks. I am going to go ahead and just line this up because I don't need for it to go past here. I want to be prepared to like stop it. One of the things that I do wish that someone would have told me about working with zippers, though, is that the zipper teeth are not as scary as you would think. So I know that my zipper needs to kind of stop at this point here. I'm going to cut it down, but I'm not going to cut all of this down. I'm going to cut the zipper tape off first because when I fold this over, this is going to be folded kind of like this. Maybe not that far, but like ultimately it's going to be folded so that I have, in essence, created a new like stop for it so that when I zipper it up, it doesn't come off. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm saying there? So I'm either going to do it down like this, but I really think that I'm going to move it to the side like that. Just to kind of do that. But the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I put my next zipper in correctly. So let's go ahead and move to that zipper. Now, I'm not going to lie. Your girl is excellent typically at one. I got one good side. One good side. Okay. That was my good side. All right. So we're going to go to this other side. We're going to move the stitch position to +2. And I'm going to pop that on in hopes that makes it a little bit easier for me to navigate. It may not. And I do want to just, this is looking like it's lining up well. So this is also an excellent time to use pins or your pins or clips. But if you sew with me regularly, you know that YOLO is kind of how I do it. It's definitely like a do as I say, not as I do type of deal. Yeah, I really just be over here fighting with the fabric when I have to do this other side. And of course, the reason why I didn't like do it in reverse is because our zipper tape does not fit exactly. But it's lining up, y'all. This shit is lining up perfectly. Your girl's very proud of herself. Especially because, again, we did this on the flizzy. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and I want to zipper it up again, just to make sure that it's lining up the way that it's supposed to be lining up in my head. We haven't top stitched it so it stays flat. So what I'm looking for is just making sure that this top area, when I zipper it up, it matches up. It does. I feel like we are in a really good spot to go ahead and finish this garment. So the next step, of course, is going to be to top stitch our zippers. So now I am keeping it on the +2, which is what I had it on for my last one. Once I get my zipper like finalized in here, I'm gonna address the top zipper part. Okay, so this first side is completely in there. Like somewhere we had a little bit of bunching up. One thing that I would do differently next time is I would interface the centerpiece of the fabric even after I have, or before I have done the pockets, because I feel like that has made a bit of a difference. Okay, so now that's done. Our zipper is installed. So now it's just about figuring out how I kind of want to end this top zipper. So I like how this is kind of presenting on here and how that looks. It's giving very seamless. I am just very concerned about making sure that I don't end up losing the zipper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this in here, and I'm going to kind of use this as almost like a top stitch guideline for me, because remember I said that I might think about top stitching my neckband, and I feel like doing that. I'm just going to back stitch it as well. Following that line feels good to me. Okay. Like, there we go. And you like literally can't even see it. So I'm gonna just trim that down some. Your girl successfully stitched in the ditch, at least on that one. But of course, we're here to celebrate all of the wins, even if they aren't finalized yet, you know? So this is what this side is looking like. lift you guys up just ever so slightly. Ooh, stuck on my thumb. So this side is completely in here. I'm loving how that looks. Let's just make sure that we can replicate that on this side. Again, your girl is not ambidextrous exactly, but I'm feeling like, I really feel like this is getting in here, right? So doing the same thing that I did on the other side, just in reverse. And I am gonna back stitch before I seal my stitch off. Okay. This one looks good as well. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't look as good as the first one, the first side, but it still looks good. Just gonna trim this down some. Go ahead and trim this. So now our zip is done. Now we're just gonna go ahead, ooh, let's trim this down too. One of the things that I typically struggle with doing is trimming as I go. And then I'll be left looking like Threadarella. Not going for that look today. Okay, got that nice and trimmed down. Let's zipper her up. Come on, somebody. Yes. Looking fantastic. I love this for us. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm like, let's see. I like this. I have a couple of these like hanging drawstrings. These, I like this color the best, but if it doesn't fit around my waist, we're just going to tie two together. Yep, we'll just tie two together because I really want this brown to be what I work with. So this here is perfect for my neck, but not necessarily for my waist, but we gonna make it work. We are indeed. So I don't necessarily need it to be fully doubled. Okay, so I feel like if I tie it off here, and so I'm just gonna tie it in a knot. So just tying this in a knot. Oh, that is definitely not going to fit in. So I'm like, I feel like we got to think of something else. Think of something else. What can we do? What can we do? I know what we can do. So we'll thread it through. I'm going to open up the casing and then I'll tie that knot and then reclose it. If I can get this open again, y'all. I'm not saying that I was a Girl Scout with these ties, but Whew, okay, come on, knot. Okay, girl. All right, so we're gonna thread. Let's thread this one through. I'm like, let me get one of my, these here. Listen, go ahead and just get you a supersized, just get a supersized safety pin, okay? Let me see. Before I promote it, let me just make sure it goes through. This here. It doesn't even fit in the grommet, y'all. Okay, never mind. We about to just struggle. It's fine. I do love these though. Still think everyone should have them. I'm definitely like, where are my smaller? I also have that thing that you use to feed through, but my kids really get a kick out of like all of my notions. I need to water my plants. I'm like looking around. All of my plants look like they are on the struggle bus. Okay, before I finish this up, let me grab my seam ripper. Not that one though. Let's see. Yeah, let's do this side. So that way, when I get to a point where I can tie it off, I can do that. Yeah, this like little 2.5 inch stitch length, baby. And then I did it in white, so I can't see the stitch. Can't see the stitch, y'all. I'm like, your girl's good at that stitch. Okay. Now, if you want to make your own drawstring, or if you have drawstring that fits, you obviously will not have to do this part. But this is where I am in my juncture today. So let's just go ahead and finish up strong. Because I feel like this, I just am like, this brown is so perfect. I hate threading things. I'm not gonna lie, this is like my least favorite part of any project. And it's always like the easiest, right? Because threading threading elastic, drawstring, etc. It's not hard. Inconvenient, quite possibly. I'm tempted to dang, how far, oh my, how far is this? Okay. I'm really tempted to go ahead and make a little bias though, to like line my neck area. You know, to give it a little fancy finish. Whew, yeah, this is a lot, this is a lot. Let me see if I can find my like little threader. I'm like, come on, where are you? Make yourself known. I don't see it hanging any place. Not my behind over here being like, oh, it'll be fine. This year I feel like I didn't make nearly as many Christmas presents as I normally do. Okay, let's see if I can just... Yeah, I'm almost there. Not really, but it makes me feel good to say it. Like, I wonder if I can like go fishing with this thing. Who praises? It worked. Okay. Now let's go ahead and tie this off. I feel like this length will be good enough, and it'll allow me to you know, like it'll allow me to have extra space if I need it. But let me see about finding another. Girl might need another tool. Hold on a second. Let me see if we can make fetch happen with this here. We might be able to. So my girlfriend will make fun of me and be like, Aaronica, you're like your own Joann's. And she's not wrong. I do think that it's necessary to have a certain amount of things available, because like having this available game changer. Because look at how much faster that was. Like, I haven't made it kind of through this part here, but like I'm right here. What's a different? Oh no. Yes. Okay. I don't know where Daddy's at. Okay. Do you know where Daddy's at? Huh? Do you know where Daddy's at? No. Oh. That's why I asked you. I thought you were Daddy's keeper.
I lost him.
Oh.
I'm gonna go find him.
Cool. Alright, so we got that done. Let's just pop another stitch back in to close that up, since we had made that available for us to use. Okay. So now we've got that. What I'm going to do here is I am going to make it a little bit tighter. And do a little knot. Not too tight though, but just so that it'll kind of stay cinched. Okay, now let's go ahead and do our casing for our wrists. I'm going to just take this elastic, because this is what I have sitting next to me, and I'm just going to go ahead, wrap this around my wrist. I don't want it to be too tight. I just want it to fit. So I feel like this is perfect. Also, because like these are going to be some super bunched sleeves. Now I'm going to use my super big, super thick very, very thick safety pin there. And because this casing is like, y'all, this casing is way smaller. I mean, way bigger than my elastic piece, because we're giving very dramatic sleeve. I did just go ahead and put a clip to make sure that my piece of elastic does not get caught as we attempt to go ahead and get it through here. Okay. Let's go ahead and take our safety pin off. I absolutely hate working with this tiny elastic because it's so hard for me. I'm gonna go ahead and take my zipper foot off and put my regular foot back on, or at least one of them. I hate working with this tiny elastic though. It is so hard, in my humble opinion, to like, oops, very hard to make sure that you get that stitch on there. So I do have them lined up. I'm not having them overlap just because honestly it's just a lot to try to. If I had washi tape next to me, I would tape them together first. But I don't. So I'm just going to do like about a 1/2 of an inch overlap. I am going to go ahead and do a little back stitch action on it just to make sure that it's stable enough and so it's not ready to snap. So now I'm going to go ahead and close up that casing. And we're going to trim these extra threads down at the same time, y'all. Same time. Because when the garment is done, I'm trying to be done. Okay, so let's go ahead and thread our second piece of elastic through as well. I keep looking back to make sure I'm not missing any of the chat. So I normally go live on TikTok or Instagram, but you know, y'all know I was working on building up this YouTube channel. I will say one of the things that I do miss about going live on TikTok is the conversation, which is, you know, I also know that I'm working on building my audience up here. Oh goodness. Yeah, we almost lost our elastic. And I know it'll take time to kind of develop the audience over here and get people used to it, to me going live over here. I think that starting in the new year, I'll only be going live like once a week here, once a week on TikTok versus the 2 times a week there, because I do like being able to post consistent content over on these YouTube streets as well. Okay. And so now again, now I'm going to struggle super hard. I also don't think that YouTube is used very much for like going live, you know, like whereas like creators on like TikTok and like Instagram, like I feel like those audiences are more primed for a live, you know, for like going live with people. Ooh. My elastic moved, y'all. The elastic moved, but we got it back together. I don't think that like these these YouTube streets are primed for interactive live streams is what I will say. And it just might be my channel, which I'm also open to as well. All right, so let's go ahead and close up this casing. And friends, we're finished. Let's try it on. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like this took me a little bit longer than I would have liked. I feel like I added time, of course, with my initial mistake of how I had attached the pocket wrong in the beginning. Another piece that took longer than I would have liked was that threading of this bottom piece. But let's go ahead and try this jacket on. Let's get into some better lighting. Try this baby on. And then I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm not gonna keep y'all for too much longer. Okay. It's funny because it's like super warm in my house. Like, let me go ahead and allow this to stretch out on me first and then tie my knots. And I wanted this to fit more of like a crop style, so not quite as long, which is why I really want it to fit at like this area. So I'm gonna just go ahead, tie my knot again so that I can hold that in place there. There we go. And then also cinch this waist over here. All right, and now we're done. So this is it. And again, the pattern that I use is the Made for Mermaids Primrose. This is a pattern that I designed. We hacked it from being basically your basic pullover, or I will say your not so basic pullover, to being a zipper up. I decided to hack this to be this today because I've got my reconstruction surgery next week on December 26th, and I need something that is easy to zipper up, zipper down. And so this was my choice. Thank you all so much for joining me today. And I hope that this was fun for you. And if you have not already subscribed, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Make sure that you turn on the bell so that you receive notifications anytime that I go live, so that you all can go ahead and like hang out with me. So I do see that there's some more chat coming in. So let's go ahead and mosey on over to the computer and see what y'all are saying. Oh, thank you, Will. Will was like, you gonna know I'm in here. I love that. That makes me feel so happy. So thank you so much for purchasing that pattern, y'all. Again, just like, I love this. I'm like really loving this so much. I do think I'm gonna top stitch this maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I'm really like, your girl's digging it though. This is something that you can actually turn into a coat if you just want to add a lining in here as well. The possibilities are endless. But again, many thank yous. Thanks for joining me today. And I will catch y'all on the flip side.